Caitlin Clark could be refusing to use Indiana Fever Medical.
Clark has already been ruled out for tomorrow's game, Tuesday night, against New York in New York.
You are not going to believe the absolute medical meltdown happening with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. After yet another injury disaster, Caitlin is apparently done trusting the team doctors and going her own route.
Looks like she's in pain.
That's right, the Fever's medical staff just got fired by their own superstar, and the fallout is absolutely brutal. This isn't just a bruised ego, this is a full-blown crisis revealing a deeper, darker truth about how the Fever are handling their most valuable asset. When your franchise player is forced to seek outside help because she can't trust the people paid to keep her healthy, you know something is seriously broken. Do you think Caitlin Clark is right to ditch the Fever doctors after all these recurring injuries? Let me know in the comments, because this is the kind of explosive drama the WNBA doesn't want you talking about. Well, folks, we've officially reached the point where Caitlin Clark has apparently had enough of the Indiana Fever's medical circus. And honestly, can you blame her? When your star player keeps getting hurt every few games and the medical staff seems about as reliable as a chocolate teapot, maybe it's time to find some actual professionals. Stephanie White just dropped some information that basically confirms what everyone with functioning brain cells already suspected.
Well, I haven't seen since the game last night, but I think she's progressing. I think that we're continuing to address everything that needs to be addressed. She's going to see some doctors and get some more tests run early in the week. I don't expect her to be available on Tuesday, so we're just going to continue to take it one day at a time and let her get her evaluations early this week, and then once we've done that, hopefully we'll have more of a clear line of what it looks like.
The Fever medical staff has completely lost Caitlin Clark's trust, and she's taking her injury management into her own hands. Let's break down what actually happened here because the clues are scattered throughout Stephanie White's recent comments like breadcrumbs leading to a medical disaster. When she was asked about Caitlin's injury status, she said something very telling that everyone seems to be missing. She said Caitlin is going to see some doctors and get more tests run. Not our doctors, not the team doctors, but some doctors. That's not the language you use when your player is sticking with the team medical staff. That's the language you use when your player has basically fired your medical team and gone shopping for competent healthcare.
They look like two different doctors just told the shocking truth about Caitlin Clark.
Here's where the real tea comes in. Multiple doctors have suggested that Caitlin needs more advanced treatment options, including things like stem cell injections and hyperbaric chamber therapy. These aren't exactly basic treatments that every team medical staff is equipped to handle. When Dr. Morris suggested that Caitlin might need stem cell injections at specific tendon attachment points, that's not something your average team doctor is probably doing in the locker room. That requires specialized expertise and equipment that maybe, just maybe, the Indiana Fever medical staff doesn't have. The way Stephanie White has been talking about these injuries has been suspicious from the beginning too. She keeps saying Caitlin is day-to-day when actual medical professionals are saying groin strains are more like week-to-week injuries. Either she doesn't understand what her medical staff is telling her, or her medical staff doesn't understand what they're dealing with. The pattern of communication around these injuries has been weird too. Remember when Stephanie White claimed she didn't know about Caitlin's injury until the night before she was ruled out? Now, we're hearing that Caitlin is going to see some doctors to get a clearer picture. That sounds like someone who's lost all confidence in the medical advice she's been getting and wants a second, third, and probably fourth opinion from people who actually know what they're doing. The timing of all this is absolutely perfect too because it comes right after multiple actual medical professionals have publicly criticized how the Fever have been handling Caitlin's injuries. When real doctors are calling out your medical staff on social media, that's probably a sign that something's gone spectacularly wrong. Dr. Jesse Morris, an actual athletic medicine expert, basically torched the Fever medical staff by saying that whatever they're doing is, unfortunately, not enough. Not kind of working, not needs improvement, but straight up, not enough. That's medical professional speak for, these people have no idea what they're doing. The injury timeline tells the whole horrifying story too. Caitlin Clark has been dealing with groin and quad issues since literally the beginning of the season, left groin, then another left groin, then a right groin strain. She hasn't been able to play 5 consecutive full games all season because something keeps breaking down. That's not normal wear and tear, that's either terrible luck or terrible medical management. And when it keeps happening over and over again, luck stops being a reasonable explanation. The fact that she keeps getting the same types of injuries suggests that whatever treatment and rehabilitation she's been getting isn't addressing the root cause of the problem. The financial implications of this are huge. Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA and probably worth millions of dollars in revenue to the league and the Fever organization. When your most valuable asset keeps getting injured because of questionable medical management, that's a business problem as much as it is a health problem. Think about it from Caitlin's perspective, she's at the peak of her earning potential, and she keeps getting hurt in ways that seem preventable with proper medical care. Of course, she's going to seek out the best possible treatment, even if it means going around her own team's medical staff. The comparison to other professional sports is stark too. NBA players routinely get second opinions and seek out specialized treatment when they're dealing with recurring injuries. The fact that this seems unusual in the WNBA probably says more about the league's medical standards than it does about Caitlin's decision-making. The Chicago Bulls comparison that's been floating around is particularly damaging for the Fever. The Bulls became notorious for mishandling player injuries, most famously with Derrick Rose. If the Fever are getting compared to that organization when it comes to medical management, that's not exactly a badge of honor. What's really telling is how quickly this injury situation escalated. Caitlin was playing well, seemed healthy, and then suddenly she's dealing with multiple groin and quad issues that keep recurring. That suggests either a fundamental problem with her training and conditioning program or a fundamental problem with how her injuries are being diagnosed and treated. The fact that doctors are suggesting she might need to be shut down for extended periods or risk re-injuring these same areas for the rest of the season is terrifying for everyone involved. That's not the kind of medical advice you get when things are being handled properly. The fan reaction has been brutal too. People are starting to question whether the Fever organization is capable of properly managing their most important player. When your fan base is losing confidence in your medical staff, that's a problem that goes way beyond just basketball. What's really damaging is that this is all happening in public. In most professional sports, when players seek second opinions, it's handled quietly behind the scenes. The fact that this is becoming a public discussion suggests that the relationship between Caitlin and the team medical staff has broken down significantly. The impact on team chemistry could be interesting too. If your star player doesn't trust the medical staff, what does that say to the other players? The league office has to be paying attention to this situation as well. The WNBA can't afford to have their biggest star constantly injured because of questionable medical management. At some point, they might need to step in and make sure their most valuable asset is being properly cared for. The comparison to how NBA superstars like LeBron James and Steph Curry are treated medically is probably not lost on Caitlin either. Why should she accept lesser treatment just because she plays in the WNBA? Caitlin Clark refusing to trust the Fever medical staff is probably the smartest decision she's made all season. When your body is your career, and the team doctors can't keep you healthy, it's time to find people who actually know what they're doing. The precedent this sets could be significant for other WNBA players too. If the league's biggest star doesn't trust team medical staffs and goes outside for treatment, other players might start doing the same thing. That could force teams to upgrade their medical programs across the board. The public relations nightmare for the Fever is just beginning too. Having your star player publicly seek outside medical treatment is not exactly the kind of story you want circulating about your organization. It raises questions about competence and professionalism that are hard to answer. The coaching staff has to be concerned about this, too. Stephanie White is trying to build a competitive team, but she can't do that if her best player keeps getting injured. If the medical staff isn't part of the solution, then seeking outside help is the only option. The fan experience is suffering as well. People buy tickets and tune in to watch Caitlin Clark play. And when she's constantly injured, that affects attendance, viewership, and overall interest in the team. The medical staff's inability to keep her healthy is literally costing the organization money. The WNBA needs her healthy and playing to maintain the momentum and interest she's generated. If the league feels like the Fever aren't properly managing their most important asset, that could create some interesting dynamics. This is a crossroads moment, not just for Caitlin, but for the entire WNBA. What do you guys think about this medical drama? Is Caitlin right to ditch the Fever docs? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more WNBA chaos.